What's up, everyone? Today we're going to be talking about the myth of meant to be, or it is destined. Now, I don't believe in this myth, and I'm going to show you some very interesting, unique ways and examples of viewing this so that maybe you can start realizing perhaps this isn't true. And a lot of people think it's true. So I want to use the example in dating because I think this is probably the one that hits the gut the hardest and just clears things up real quickly. So a lot of girls, some guys too, use this very frequently. They're like, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If I see you again, I will see you again. If it's destined, it will occur. And oftentimes they will say this in the hope that they will meet you again, or things will work out with you, or in your relationship, or whatever else. Oftentimes it's just because they want to get away from you and they're using this to string you along so that they don't have to go on a date with you. The point is that people actually seriously use this, and they use this as some sort of reasoning, as some sort of destiny thing, like everything in the universe is pre-written, preordained, and already determined. And therefore, you just let go of the reins and you let go and you let magic happen because you have this belief that everything is already predestined outside of your control. So does that mean that if I am a level 67 World of Warcraft mage, or I am a platinum tier or diamond 5 tier League of Legends gamer who sits in his room and games 8 hours a day, that I should continue sitting there for the rest of my life, like many gamers I know, and keep gaming and streaming all day long, every day long, with no hopes or prospects of any potential date because I'm never going out of the house, and just say it's meant to be? This type of circular reasoning sort of constricts them even further, because as the years progress and they get older and older, they get less appealing, less athletic, less pleasing, because they're just sitting there in their chair. And then, then they say to themselves, well, as you can tell, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. If it's not, it's not. And clearly, I did all I could. I tried. And clearly, it wasn't meant to be. Well, if you had actually gone out and tried and hustled and worked hard, and basically the big point I'm getting here is that there is a differentiation between different paths you can take in life, forks in a road, decisions that you can make, actions you can take based on your own beliefs, your own thoughts about this single mindset in and of itself. If I think it's meant to be and I sit there and take no action, then that's one possible outlay of my life. The other is thinking to myself, it's not meant to be. I am control of the reins of my life, at least to a certain degree, so that I can actually go out there and work on my dating life. And that creates two forks in the road, two different life experiences. One while you're sitting at home, another where you're out doing something that's not sitting at home. Isn't that in and of itself a difference in what could have been preordained? Because of your own decision, you have now changed, at least for that time being, 10, 20 minutes of your life, you have changed the location and environment and experiences that you are experiencing based off your own decisions. So at least on that micro level, it's very clear that you are not preordained to sit there. So you are definitely not preordained, at least for that moment, to be sitting there playing those games of League of Legends on your ranked ladder as if something above you has already determined that this is your destiny and that this part of your life is written. You took control and literally walked outside and changed your life history in that micro moment. However long you go outside for, a minute, 10 minutes, an hour, a week. And so on that micro scale, you have in fact changed your destiny. As far as another example in regards to dating, I've heard about many stories. I've heard about many stories where men have literally gone out of their way to approach or meet a girl, and that ended up becoming his wife. Swoozy, who's a very popular YouTuber, he has like 2 million subscribers on YouTube. One of his good friends, that's exactly what he did. While they were parked in the car in the taxi, he literally got out of the taxi, knocked on the window of a car next door, introduced himself to a girl sitting amongst a group of girls, and that ended up becoming his wife. Now, that is not to say that you have to be very bold or audacious or do crazy things like that in order to get somewhere with girls. That's aside from the point. The big picture point I'm making is that certain things in terms of preordained or meant to be, that isn't the case. Because had he not chosen to do that, it would have never occurred. It wasn't meant to be. They wouldn't have ever met. And then from an evolutionary biology standpoint, in terms of populations and human species, we have a bunch of possible potential mates that we would be satisfied with in terms of standards of how they look, how they act, how they treat you, and other such qualities, skills, experiences, whatever. So there's not just one person in the entire 8 billion and growing human species that is suitable for you. That's just called being really picky. So it's not like there's only one fit that's waiting for you, that's this, soulmate meant to be. There's probably hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, maybe even millions of potential mates that you would be fine with marrying, dating, whatever else. Here's the final example, and then we're moving on to something else. I know people, and myself included, who have gotten over their intense natural state of shyness for at least a certain amount of time. It was definitely not easy. It was very tough. It was very daunting, but there's a very strong motivation that there was potential for you yourself to take control of things and improve your chances. And that decision in mindset spurs someone to take a different fork in the road, work on themselves, overcome their fear or anxiety, and approach. And that opens you up from a 0% chance to a 10, 20, who knows how many percent chance of actually finding someone who likes you back. So the point of this is that people who use this are oftentimes maybe using it as circular reasoning on some level to make excuses for themselves to not do anything. I'm reading this book, Magic of Thinking Big. It's sold 6 million copies, and it's one of billionaire Chris Sacca's favorite books. And one of the big topics in this book is excuses. Right from the get-go, he talks about excuses and how average people and unsuccessful people have this illness called excuse-itis, where they have all these excuses. And he lists all the possible excuses out there and how all of them are stupid. Oh, I'm not tall enough. Oh, I'm not handsome enough. I'm not rich enough. I have all these health issues. I'm too old. All these things that they think hold them back but don't. Now, I'm not such an extremist to think that everything in the entire universe is possible. At least right now I'm not. My opinions may change in the future. I don't think a 90-year-old woman will overtake all the celebrities in Hollywood and become this star sex symbol for decades to come, no matter how hard she believes or removes excuses from her. But I am constantly amazed about the tremendous potential, the almost insurmountable, seemingly impossible tasks and projects and achievements that are achieved every year because people refuse to conform to these excuses. Now, having said all of that, again, I have to say that I'm not some type of philosopher or anything like that, so I don't have any extreme expertise on this. If anyone has any links or resources or other stuff that you think may be of use, go ahead and leave in the comments below for our community and myself to check out and maybe learn more about this, philosophical dilemma, debate, whatever you have it. The last thing, though, is on a macroscopic level, one could argue that potentially it is, in a certain way, everything could be preordained because everything is on some level wired, or because almost everything on some level can be quantified to a certain extent, one could argue that some entity out there who knows everything could in fact predict whether or not, based off your evolutionary genetic wiring and the environmental factors that you experience when you are birthed into the world, your culture, your geographic location, your mentors, who you look up to, who you're influenced by, your peers, and so forth, they can get a very accurate sense of how likely you are to be able to break free from certain conditionings, certain mindsets, or take certain actions, or just stay where you are and let the excuses eat you up. So in a way, it could be predicted whether you can. So in a way, it could possibly be determined whether or not you will ever meant to be with another person. For instance, if a guy is just genetically very shy and all his environmental influences just reinforce that, and he just grows up his whole life with this very stubborn mindset about like nothing can be done, nothing can be done, and he never goes out of his way to improve himself inside and out and go out there and meet anyone else, and he just sits there playing games all day. Guess what's going to happen? Even if there are girls out there, because he's not going out there and getting in front of them, and he's not going out of his way, then nothing's going to happen. As always, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Peace.